Let's do computer. All right. Welcome to episode 2, where we have Mack, Mr. Mack G.
How's it going, everybody? How's it going?
All right. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, and then we can go on and tell the people how we met, basically.
Well, my name is Mack, Mack G, Mack Garrett, however you want to say it. I met Ollie at Veecon. We both went to Minneapolis and went to the V conference, and we actually met waiting in line to meet GaryVee. So yeah, that was a pretty interesting experience within itself, and it was a really good weekend. I really enjoyed that weekend. It was nonstop. There's a lot of stuff going on, and yeah, not only did I meet Ollie, we met a bunch of other people there that I've still been talking to. So it was a great experience.
Do you remember the first encounter we had with at the line waiting for GaryVee, when we were like, let's calculate how many people there are in line.
Yeah.
And then we got people to actually leave the line. And I was like, oh my God.
You started basically saying, you're like, at this rate, it's going to be, you pretty much broke down the numbers. You're like, if this many people and an average of this many minutes, it's going to be this long. And people are like, oh man. And they just started walking out in front of us.
Exactly. They're like 2.5 hours. Hell no, I ain't doing this.
Yeah. But it actually, if I remember correctly, it actually went by pretty quick and it wasn't that bad.
It was a lot quicker than the first day. The first day we stood in line. Technically, we stood in line as soon as we got in. We stood in line to meet him, but then he was jumping through signing wine, and then he was taking selfies with people. So that took a lot of time.
Are you talking about the first night, like when the DJ and stuff was there, and it was
exactly, the outside?
Yep.
Yeah. That took a couple of hours, and we were, I mean, basically the party was ending, and we were still standing in line. So that's
yeah. Then there was a bunch of people cutting stuff that day. I remember there was people just kind of hopping up there, and he was randomly taking selfies and stuff. But yeah, it was that night. I already knew. I was like, I'm just gonna let everybody go wait in line on that one, and I went and did all the activities and stuff that night.
Yep. All right. Let's see. What was your favorite thing about Veecon?
Favorite thing, man, if I had to pinpoint it, I would say I really enjoy. Obviously, I met a ton of people, and I like meeting people, so that was really cool for me, just meeting all the people. But as far as like events and speakers, I really enjoyed the Pharrell talk. That one was super inspiring, and of course, meeting GaryVee was super cool in itself. And I would say those are the top 3 for me. Basically, the Pharrell talk, meeting GaryVee, and then just meeting all the people that were there in general.
Awesome. If for me personally, I would say how easily it was to approach people.
Oh yeah,
it was super easy to approach people. I mean, I think Gary set the tone for that, but as well, it was like, if you approach someone, they wouldn't be like, what the hell do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually had an instance like that once only.
At Veecon?
Yes, which was weird, but they were kind of weirded out. I was like, okay, who are you?
Every once in a while you'll have one of those people that's not as socially inclined as it. But for the most part, yeah, I agree. Everybody there was pretty relatable, and everybody wanted to meet and talk and share their experiences. So yeah, I enjoyed that part of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone wanted to connect too, and I think that helped out a lot.
And look at us now, all right?
Oh, hell yeah, well, man. I did not regret it. I have to say, we stood in line for a couple of hours. Those were pretty good hours.
Yeah, it was a good time. It's just waiting. Yeah, it's like even in line, we met what, 5, 6, 7 people. People surrounding us, and all had good convos with them and stuff like that. Got to learn about kind of your background in Sweden and stuff like that. So that was cool.
Yep. All right. So tell me, how did you get into the NFT space, or at least how did you get into the NFT space, but also how do you get into the Bitcoin space?
Well, those are two.
The cryptocurrency space.
we'll start off with the cryptocurrency first. I got into cryptocurrency. It was probably 2017,
Okay.
right when it started kind of getting popular, but it hadn't blown up yet. Bitcoin was still like 1,000, 2,000 bucks at the time. And I didn't go all in on it back then, but I definitely invested a little bit in that. And I was messing around with a lot of altcoins back then. So I got
Uh-huh.
into Bitcoin. Then, you know, I was investing in random altcoins like Stellar Lumen, XRP, Tron, just random stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of seeing which one would hit. And, you know, I actually came up pretty good off that. I made some decent money, nothing crazy. I didn't become rich off of it or anything,
Yeah.
but, you know, I made a little bit of money investing in it back then. And then it crashed, and I still stayed up with it and held on to what I'd already had, kept up with it. But I didn't really, I was more back then, it was more from an investing standpoint as opposed to, your next question, the NFTs. I actually got into those starting with, basically GaryVee said he was dropping an NFT, and I was like, all right, usually this guy's pretty, you know, he's pretty trustworthy. I wasn't worried about like him trying to do something that was going to con me or something like that. So I was like, this is probably a pretty good starting point. And at that point, I had already heard of CryptoPunks. CryptoPunks had been popular for a couple months and just kept continuing to grow. And I was like, you know, his was one of the first NFTs I heard of where it's like, oh, this NFT is going to get you access to a conference. Like, it was the first time I'd kind of heard it in a sense of like, this is basically a ticket, you know?
Yes.
And so that I was like, all right, 3 years of a conference. I kind of did the math. And at the time, I think Ethereum he announced it, and Ethereum had shot up from the twos to, I want to say, like mid threes almost by the time it was time to actually
Mm-hmm.
get it. So I had a half of, I actually had about 0.6, 0.7 Ethereum set aside because I didn't really know what to expect. He was like, it's going to be a Dutch auction or whatever. And so that first day, I noticed quite a bit of the cores went to the actual floor of 0.5 Ethereum. So that next day, I just kind of waited and sniped one. And I waited a little too long. I had like 5 or 6 of them that I was looking into. And then I ended up like 4 or 5 of those got swept up like right above the 0.5. It was like
Yes.
0.55, 0.6. And then I ended up getting a secure sparrow at about 0.51 or something like that.
Nice.
And so I held on to that, and I literally held on to that all the way up until April of this year. And I ended up selling it luckily right before everything kind of
Crashed.
Yep, exactly. And not because I didn't get rid of it because of like, oh, it was pure luck. Like, it was purely circumstantial. Like, I needed the money to get a house and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it all worked out, and I'm glad that I did it when I did it, because I would have been pretty sad now if I hadn't you know,
Yes.
made as much maximum profit, or I wouldn't say maximum profit, but basically I got quite a bit out of it. And yeah, so that was kind of the whole start with NFTs.
I know what you mean. Well, I can say the same thing about NFTs or crypto for me, but it was more in a stock that I invested in. And I received a message that basically said, my friend sent me a text message, and he said, hey, Michael Burry's just sold his Tesla stock. And I was like, hey, if Michael Burry sold his Tesla stock, I'm selling too. So I sold it, and I sold it. And the crazy thing is that as soon as I sold it, it started kind of crashing down.
You're talking about your NFT,
No, at the
or your
Tesla stock.
just your stock in general? Okay, I got
Yes.
you.
So that was the Tesla stock. I had invested in Tesla. So what happened is like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna sell, because it was rising for a while as well. And I'm like, this can't keep on going. This is like too
Yeah.
good to be true. So what I did was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna sell it. I'm very content with what I got as a profit. And I sold it, and it kind of crashed down after that. So I was like, hey, this happens very rarely in your life, when you kind of like hit the peak. You know
Yeah, I
what I
know,
mean?
right? Yep.
Yeah. And sell it. So I think that's kind of what you did too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, but See, the difference is you kind of predicted it a little bit better. I just like it was kind of more circumstantial for me because
Mm-hmm.
there was plenty of points that there was at one point that the floor on Veefriends was like 23, 24 back before he announced the Christie's
Yes.
auction. It's like, man, that would have been the time to hit. I think that was at the time. I want to say that the floor was 22, 23, and then Ethereum was in the 4K. So I mean, it was
Yes.
that would have been the, but you know, I'm still happy and thankful that perspective, as Gary would
Yes.
say. I'm still happy that it worked out for me. I got out at a good time. I used that money to put a down payment on a house, and so I got the house now, so everything kind of worked out in that perspective.
And that's amazing, man. Like for me, I go by, or I try my best to go by a saying that we have in Arabic that basically translates to contentment is an endless treasure. If you really think about that, it is very deep, but it's very hard to achieve because let's say you sell your Veefriend Series 1 or whatever you have, and then suddenly it shoots up 2 more Ethereums or 5 or 10 more Ethereums. It's all about you being content and saying, you know what, I'm content with what I've sold. I made a good profit. The profit is good for me. I don't care if it goes up. I don't care if it crashes down to zero. That's the important part. You know what I mean?
And
But
that's kind of what happened with me. Exactly. I was
it,
happy, even though even though it wasn't at the peak or whatever, I was still happy with what I got, especially at the time I needed it. So that it worked out that way for me.
yeah. See, that's a very good what do you call it? What is the word I'm looking for?
Just a good outlook.
Yeah, that's a very good outlook to have in life. And that's you if you try to live it, the more you try to live it, the better it is because you will kind of instill it in yourself. That's what I've been trying to do. And I sometimes sell at a loss and sometimes I sell at a profit. But I'm content with whatever happens. I'm content because I've had my profits, I have my losses. You can't always win in life. That's just how it is. Whatever you
Yep.
do, you can't just win. So for me, I got in much later than you actually when it comes to Veefriends. And here's a funny story. I told my friend about his Series 1, Gary's Series 1. And I told my friend, I was like, should we buy some? And he was like, no, I don't think I'm going to buy some. So I was sitting there thinking for myself, I was like, should I not get some? What exactly should I do? Because that was when they were 0.5.
Mhm.
All right. And I was very new to the whole crypto, to the whole NFT space. My friend had been telling me to buy crypto for a couple of months, if not years before that. And it was like, come on, buy some. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I should, and the economy wasn't really right with me. So I was like, should I not? So like, you know what? Maybe I should get a Veefriend Series 1. I was like, I'll do that tomorrow. And I completely forgot about it. And it passes and it passes. And I look at all of the Veefriend Series 1. They're up at like 1, 2, 3 Ethereums. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, I was like, what? I missed my chance. I was like, I missed my chance. What did I do? But it's a loss. It's a loss
Yep.
I'm willing to take. Thankfully, I got to join I got to join the wave, the series Veefriends Series 2. And I'm very thankful for that. So, my goal is to buy a Series 1, but I will see if I can reach my goal of actually achieving one or getting one, but like being able to buy one before the next Veecon, that would be amazing. Otherwise, I'll have to go back to book tokens or whatever it is for me to be able to get a ticket. Because that's how I got my first one. I exchanged book games tokens to actually get my first Veecon ticket.
Nice.
So, I'm like I said, I'm very grateful. I'm very content with what I have. At least I got to attend Veecon. A lot of people didn't get to attend that. So for me, it was a blessing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what Veefriends 2 did you mint? Or did you mint one, or did you just buy one off the
I actually
secondary
minted
market?
2, and I think there was one of them were Headstrong Honey Badger and the Cheetah.
Nice.
I actually don't remember which Cheetah I have. I need to look it up. I can look it up and tell you later. But I got actually the trading cards. I haven't opened them yet.
Oh, I just opened mine the other day, actually.
Really? Did
My
you mint
complete, yeah.
anything good?
Yeah, actually, I got them right here real quick. Hang on while I'm with you. Oh, so my good ones I got a Brilliant Barracuda.
Nice.
I got a Gritty Ghost. These are just my rare ones, basically. I got an epic one. There's only 25 of these. This is probably my rarest one.
Nice.
A Swaggy Sea Lion. And then these two right here, they're both rares, but I both think these are going to be really good. The Gratitude Gorilla and the Impeccable. I can't even, Innostrand or whatever it is, whatever this thing is. I was pretty happy when I got that, and I actually got some. So these are the rares, but I actually got like a couple cores of these as well, the basic, and I actually got a core Gratitude Gorilla. So yeah, those are my biggest hits out of mine so far.
Awesome. Well, I haven't opened mine. I haven't even opened my box.
Not, yeah,
Very.
I held on to them for like a couple weeks, and I was like, all right, I can't take it anymore. I gotta open them. I
No,
gotta see
I'm
what's in
planning
there.
to open them. It's just
Yeah.
I don't really know how to do it. I'm trying to think. I was like, okay, should I just open them now? Should I record myself opening them and see if there's to share it with people? But I'm also wanting to research a little bit on how to I want to research a bit on how to be able to preserve your card, because
Yeah,
the
I would
better
definitely.
form they're in, the more value they have, right?
I would definitely recommend getting these clear plastic cases, just so right off the bat, if you get something good, you can just put it immediately in there and not even have to worry about it.
Are those like harder plastic?
You can get the really hard plastic ones, but I just got these are a little bit cheaper. These are kind of bendy, but they're still pretty sturdy. Like if you were to drop it on the floor, you'd be good. I mean, if you're like to crump
Yeah,
it, it
yeah,
would,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you want to do that either.
But yeah, they do have on Amazon. They got hard plastic ones as well as just like cheaper softer ones that I got. The hard plastic ones are obviously a little bit more, but if you don't mind spending 20-30 bucks, you can get you can get some.
Yeah. Well, it's more like an investment too, so you're not really wasting your money.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The cards are going to be valuable, maybe. I'm not sure, but the rare ones are, of course, going to be valuable. Well, I've been on eBay scrolling a little bit.
Yeah, a
Some
lot
of
of
the
the rare ones
cards,
have been going for about $100, and I've noticed
yes.
the epic ones have been going anywhere from 300 to 600. So
Well,
that's pretty
that's a lot of
nice.
money.
Yeah, it's
And
nice.
a lot of people, I think they're gonna buy them and just hold them and hope that the price goes up.
Yep.
I have seen for the Uno cards. Did you get any?
No, I missed out on those. Did you get
All
some?
right. I actually have a couple of them. I haven't opened them, but I have been on eBay and there is a GaryVee card going for
Yeah.
like $2,000, and they have been
Yep.
sold for $2,000.
I've seen those.
Yeah,
If you
but
get one
those
of
are
those, man, that's a good one.
that's a rare one too. So I'm not really sure on. I don't know what the rate is, but those cards too. I don't know what it is with me, but I have everything boxed up, so I still haven't opened it. Like even my
So,
Veecon shirts are still in their plastic. I haven't even opened them. So
nice,
I don't even
nice.
know. I don't even know why, but I'm like, okay, they're still here.
No,
So
it's some people. Man, it took me. I literally had my first box for 3 or 4 weeks before I finally opened it. They were just sitting there, and I kind of watched and was seeing, what like I was kind of scanning eBay, kind of
mhm.
seeing what other people were doing and going from there. And yeah, it's kind of weird how like Gary has this like like all of his stuff that he drops, like hold its value, whether it be the cards, whether it be like even the Flex and Fox thing, like those have been selling good. Pretty much anything he drops holds its value. So I've kind of learned, like, if you can get a hold of anything, especially the way he does it to where not like, there's limited amounts of it. If you can go ahead and get some, it usually works out in your favor for sure.
Yes, this is exactly something that I was gonna say, but I forgot, but you reminded me, so thank you for that. When I doubted V1, it's not, oh, no, let me rephrase that. When I was thinking about getting a V1, I was so new to the NFT space that I was questioning myself, is this even something good? I know that GaryVee said that your skins online are technically an NFT
Yeah.
in games, and I own skins playing League of Legends. So technically, I've already been in that space for a couple of years without even knowing it. But ever since I missed out on V1, everything Gary does, I trust completely. But I do some quick research and read about it and see exactly what he's talking about. But I trust him completely because Gary is a very genuine person in this space. And you get, this is my opinion, and a lot of people go in and benefit from it. Like his NFT projects, Veefriends Series 1 and Series 2, they have only been giving people a lot. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no,
that is crazy. I haven't seen other NFT projects where that have been giving so much in so little time.
Another good thing that, like, so I minted a Veefriends 2, and guess what? I ended up minting a mint mink, and I don't know if you've seen, but basically he gave those utility just recently. So I used that and I bought the ledger. Basically it gave us a free whitelist spot to get the ledger NFT. So I bought that, and then I actually sold my mint mink, like not yesterday but the day before, for like a little over 2 Ethereum. So that was nice.
Congratulations, man.
So that worked out for me as well.
Congratulations.
So yeah, so far, man, it's worked out for me in the Veefriends space, Veefriends 1 and Veefriends 2. But as you said, my goal is to build back up to a Veefriend 1, especially with like how it is now. The floor price is 7 and Ethereum's a lot lower. It's a lot harder to make profitable NFT trades though as well. Like, that's kind of the seesaw there. Like, because back when NFTs first started and I was flipping them back then, it was easy to make a theory. Like I would just literally do research, buy NFT, and it would usually almost always go up a little bit right then and there for a quick flip. So that's not the case right now. Now you have to really kind of pick and choose the right one, or else you'll lose money. And so I'm a lot, but I do think that I was very happy to get that Ledger NFT. I'm still holding on to it because I know Ledger has been in the game for a long time. They got the most trusted cold wallets or hard wallets or whatever. It's hard wallet, I'm sorry. They got the most trusted one of those, and I know that they're in the space enough that they're going to have good connections with their releases and stuff like that. So I minted that at 0.3 Ethereum, and I think the floor sitting at 0.6. So at least it's doubled if I wanted to make a little bit of profit off that. So that's nice. And I know there's still 3 more drops that if you buy a mint mink, they'll come with it. So it's a little bit harder to make profit right now if actually like buying and flipping them, but it still can be done. You just got to do your research and make sure that it's a good project.
For me, I don't know if this is something that you can actually say, but most markets for me are like a trading market. Like if you think about yourself being back in the day in a market where people sell fish, people sell apples, people sell, all kinds of things, wool, whatever have you. You got a product, you go to sell to a merchant, and then you go to another merchant, you buy something, and you can't start trading back and forth. And you either make a profit or you either make a loss. So absolutely, it is very important for you to do your research and actually believe in whatever you're buying. Don't ever think everything is like a quick flip, because that ain't happening.
Oh
That you
yeah.
will probably lose money.
I've definitely got bit a couple times too. I mean, a good example of times I've taken big losses are like I saw GaryVee and I saw Logan Paul both buy a Koala Intel Agency NFT. And so I saw that and I was like, if both of these guys bought it, it's probably gonna get popular. And just off of that alone, I bought into it, didn't really do any research on it. And that project's tanked pretty hard since then. So uh, there's definitely been times I've taken losses as well, but luckily my wins have outweighed my losses a little bit so far. And I think that's one thing I'm very fortunate about, is even when everything has gone crazy and dropped, like there's a lot of people that when everything crashed, they're like, oh my gosh, I lost so much or whatever. I can still look back and be like, all right, I still did pretty good. I still came out on top even after the crash, that's something I'm very fortunate about. I'm pretty happy about that because I think that's a lot of what slows down progress is someone that buys into Ethereum at 4,500 bucks.
Uh-huh.
They got a pretty sour taste in their mouth right now, as opposed to someone like me who bought in early, made money, used that money to invest into other things that I wanted. I don't have quite a, and that's left me more positive about the future of it. And one thing that's definitely it left me more positive is kind of before, I would say before Veecon and everything, but like even with Ethereum, I started to see like a whole new perspective, like because with Bitcoin and when I was doing all that, I looked at it more as an investment, as opposed to with Ethereum, I see the creativity with it. I see people turning it into NFTs, into other contracts, just into things that can use actual utility, branching that off into everything from the Web3 stuff to integrating it with some Web2 stuff. And just I've seen a lot of creativity, which makes me think like in the future there's definitely even Gary said it, I'm pretty positive on it now as well, that a bunch of things are going to be used with smart contracts, everything from
Yes.
tickets, regular tickets, to venues, just like GaryVee did. I mean, just imagine that at mass scale for like football games or basketball games.
Yes.
I could, because even today, there's still, and obviously Web3 still in the very beginning stages, but let's say that uh, you can still get ripped off buying just a regular basketball game ticket. Someone could sell you a fake ticket or something
Yes.
like that. And that's one thing I think that smart contracts will help eliminate in the future, once people figure it out more and it gets more integrated with society and the technology comes a little bit farther. I can definitely see it being everywhere from tickets to home sales to contracts for anything pretty much, so I definitely see the future of it now a lot more than I did a couple of years ago.
Well, absolutely. Have you played the game RuneScape?
Yes, it's been a while though.
All right. So back in the day in RuneScape, there was a gold trimming armor scam where someone just told you, "Hey, give me your armor and I will trim it and put gold on it." Because there was, if there was like an adamant or steel or whatever armor you had, there is some of those armors that have a gold trim, but you couldn't get them unless you like did a clue scroll and open it from your treasure. But people who didn't know that thought that, okay, I'll give them to you and you put gold on them. Heck, that's the best deal ever. Why not? And people would trade other people and the other people would log out. Be like, haha, you just got your armor for free. And it's kind
Yeah.
of the same thing here. If you do if you don't do your research, you will fall. You will
Yep.
fall for a scam. Like
Yep.
I fell for a scam, for multiple scams back in the days in RuneScape.
Yep.
So you need to be careful. But also, RuneScape is actually where I learned the market, like trading. There is an area there called the Grand Exchange. Did you play when that got released?
It was just, man, when I did play, it was for like just a little bit here and there. Like we're
Okay.
talking a long time ago, like
It is a game
Man,
from
a
2007.
long, yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking, I was probably still in school at the time. We're talking probably 2007, 8, 9, 10. Like we're talking right at the early stages
Yeah,
of it.
no, wait, I take that back. It's even older than 2007, but 2006, 7 was kind of like its peak.
But I
But,
have some friends that were really, really into it. Like actually one of my friends who he now has an esports team and an esports company. He started off like we played all kinds of video games, but he got really hooked on RuneScape. He was playing it a crazy amount. And so,
I
yeah,
love the game. It has taught me so much. And, especially the market, I used to flip merch, what we used to call it. You used to buy stuff low and then sell high or higher. So you would make some profit there. But it's also a very good game that teaches you patience. It should teach you patience. Some people choose not to do that, but it should teach you patience, but it also kind of like teaches you goal settings. Like, okay, what skill do you want to train? Okay, I want to have 70 thieving. I'm 35. Okay, what do I need to do to get from 35 to 70? And then you start working at it. So it's a very good like goal setting thing. But getting back to the Grand Exchange where I used to flip is kind of like what I see everything. Like, or not everything, but kind of like I would see the market. So if I go into stocks, I would go into a stock I believe in, read about, and be like, okay, you know what, I can back this stock up. So I would buy them and have a goal of like maybe I'll buy it at $30 and I'll sell it at 35. That's a $5 profit, but that's $5 you didn't have. And then the same thing with NFTs. If I want to buy something, I haven't really gotten into buying and selling NFTs, but I kind of see it this way. Like you bought an NFT for a Veefriends Series 2 for let's say 0.24, and you try to sell it for 0.26. It's just a 0.02 profit. But if you think about it, it is a 0. Or 0.02 Ethereum. It's not a dollar. So, it's like since you only have one Ethereum, your brain usually calculates one. That's a low number. It's like it's not. 0.2 is like $200.
yep,
you
yep,
know,
yep.
you know what I mean? So it's like that's a lot of money. So that's kind of like how I go about it. And I try to be as careful as possible, but as I said, whatever you do, you will have to take a loss or two in life at least. At least.
Oh yeah. And one thing like with the NFT things, like I think like a lot of people got into it, like they said, because they like the art and stuff like that, which is cool. But like really, when I got into it with Gary, like there was actually like right from the get-go, it was utility. He's like, this is going to be ticket to my conference for 3 years. And that's what really drew me into the space more, is like, oh, this is cool art, which I know a lot of people who do it just because they're like, this is cool art, I like the way it looks, which is fine. If you like to collect art or whatever, that's super cool. But I've never been a big collector in art or stuff like that. I've collected trading cards growing up, Pokemon and stuff like that. But even stuff like that had utility. I collected it in order to play the game, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying, and stuff like that. So
Yes.
that's kind of how I go about it. About especially if I invest in anything now, NFT wise, it's all about the utility or what it's, it's, or if it's a game or if it's something like that. It's about the utility to me more than like the art or
Yes.
if it looks cool, because you
I
can
understand.
there's a ton of people that can make stuff that looks really cool, but
I
and
understand.
and then in the future, I think that it'll be a little bit different because people will be able to actually buy NFT art and display it in their metaverse realm or whatever. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I think that'll completely change things as well. We're just not quite there yet.
Oh, absolutely. I haven't been a person of art myself, in all honesty. Like I've never understood the point of actually hanging a frame with a picture, of anything in your house. So like, what am I even looking at? But some art has been really cool. I have
Yeah.
passed some art where like, oh my God, this looks really good.
Oh, I
Now, if I
agree.
would hang it or not, that would be a different thing. Now, on the other hand, my friend actually painted she painted it was like a small piece of art. It's a very small piece of art, but it was very red, like flame. It would kind of like resemble the flame. And since I watch anime and I watched Demon Slayer the movie, and I was like, oh my god, this flame reminds me of one of the characters. So I asked her, like, how much do you want to sell this for?
Yeah.
and and that was the only piece of art that I've had so far that I actually would not mind pay for.
And
But
like,
it's different for all of us.
yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, there is like as far as like art that you can hang up and stuff there, and or even uh the physical art. I'm saying there's definitely art I've seen that's like, oh, that's super cool. But the difference with NFTs is like a bare minute. The lowest you're going to get it is what, 0.05 Ethereum, which, you know, when Ethereum was at 4K, that's still, you know, a couple $100.
Yes.
So it's like it's kind of weighing the, because there, like you said, there is some really cool NFT art like that's like just blown me away, that just actually looks really cool.
Yes. And for people who bought at 4,000 or 4,500 dollars for one Ethereum, I just have one thing to say. There is peace and patience and
Yeah.
regret in rushing.
Yep.
That's another Arabic saying that we use. It's crazy, but you should always have patience. If you sell it now, you have lost $3,500. If you don't, you might lose 1,000. You might even not lose if it goes back for 4,500. So
Yep.
always have patience. It is very hard, like you said. You try to not open your box, but I was like, no, I gotta open it. But you should always have patience and just see how everything plays out.
Yep.
Ethereum is not going away tomorrow, so it's still like in the beginning stages, like you said. And there has been a crazy market. It's been a lot of ups and downs. Like, not even, what was it, like 3 weeks ago, we were at $900 for Ethereum,
Yeah.
something like
I
that.
think at one point it even hit 800 actually.
Yeah, so it hit that low, and now it's at 1,500. The market
It's
is
at,
going up and down.
I'm actually looking at it as we speak. It's at 1,826. It actually shot up like $120 overnight.
Are you
Actually
serious?
200. Yeah, it was just 24 hours ago. It was 1,650 and now it's 1,820. So it shot up a good amount.
Interesting. Hmm. That is
But
yeah. So yeah, the markets are going up and down.
yep,
So just have, patience, write it out. Now, if you need the money, that's a different thing. I can speak for anyone. But if you can have patience, absolutely go for that. So that is my tip. But speaking of patience, and you participate in MMA, right?
yes.
I guess you need a lot of patience there to work out and get to
Yeah,
where you want to be.
exactly. Well, it's just a long road. It can be grueling at times, you know. I have a fight September 3rd. It's about this weekend. It'll be about 3 weeks out. And my first fight was in March. So before I even had my first fight, I'd been training boxing probably 2.5 years, and then jujitsu and Muay Thai about a year and a half. And I mean, you know, that's not very long in the grand scheme of things compared to a lot of people. But I mean, to stay consistent with a sport, you know, for 2.5, 3 years and train pretty much 4 to some days I train every day of the week, but you know, let's say on a low week, 4 to 5 times a week. Just you have to be really consistent, and sometimes in MMA you don't see your progress. You know what I'm saying? They compare
Yes.
it to being in like a moving car with everybody else. Like if you look out the window, the dude he's still right next to you, even though y'all are both moving forward. So sometimes
Yes.
it's hard to see your progress in MMA, but that's something that's been very rewarding for me. It's something that I always wanted to do growing up, and I didn't have the discipline until, you know, I guess up until 3 years ago. I mean, and I don't know if it wasn't necessarily that I didn't have the discipline. It's just like once I got started, I was good, but it just took me a minute to get started and get going. And I think a lot of people like, for me, it worked out because when I went to college, I went to college right out of high school, made it till about almost my junior year. And then I ended up having to drop out for 3 or 4 years. And I had a son at the time. So I had to focus on maintaining all that stuff. But when I did go back to college and really took it serious and finished up my degree, during that time, I gained a lot of discipline. I feel that school gave me a lot of discipline,
Mm-hmm.
which most people don't need that, but I guess I kind of did. And so
Yeah.
once I got that discipline and I started the boxing club at the college I was at, that has kind of led me on the trajectory that I'm on now. I literally was walking through a bunch of clubs one day at school, and they had the boxing club. And I was like, whoa, I wonder if they have an MMA club. So I started going around trying to find the MMA club, and they didn't have one. So I was like, I'll do boxing then. And I'd already liked boxing and stuff. So it kind of worked out. And then I did boxing for about a year. And then once I graduated, I moved back to Texas. And when I moved back, this was, keep in mind, like right at the beginning of quarantine, pretty much. So like I graduated, like quarantine or whatever started like March of 2020. I graduated college May of 2020. That next week I moved back to Texas, started my job, and that same week I started training jujitsu and Muay Thai and all that stuff. So from that point on, man, I've been full blast with it. I train as much as I can, and I've had the discipline to do it, which I didn't have back in the day. But it's slow progress. You know what I'm saying? It's
That's
definitely
awesome.
slow
Yeah.
progress.
Did you train anything when you were younger? Because this was like the college years.
So when I was younger, I did sports, but I didn't, at my school didn't have like wrestling or anything like that, but I played football, basketball,
We're
uh,
talking about American football now,
yeah,
not
American
soccer. Yeah,
football. Yeah, American
not
football.
soccer. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. No, I did play soccer growing up as well, though.
Like,
And
nice.
I didn't play soccer in high school, but I played it just growing up as a kid. I was always involved in some sport, basically. The town I grew up in was really football oriented, American football oriented. Like that was kind of their thing. And so, yeah, I played American football up until about my sophomore year. And then I went straight to basketball and played basketball year round. And I wasn't a crazy athlete in high school or anything. I wasn't completely bad, but I wasn't anything great either. And I just didn't have the discipline. Like in high school, it wasn't like the top of my priorities. I did it for fun, but I didn't do it to like be a top competitor. As to where I think that's a little bit different with MMA. Like when I do MMA, like I'm doing it for real, for real. I want to be in one of the one of the top organizations one day. I have a different outlook on it.
Yes.
So
So, so walk me through it here. As someone who's never liked, boxing or MMA or any of those sports, I don't like them because they do a lot of damage. Okay,
yeah,
but at the same time, who says you can't play soccer and get tackled and get as much damage as a boxing in a boxing ring?
yep,
So, or ice hockey where you can get your throat slit.
yep.
So it's walk me through it. What drew you to boxing and MMA, and what makes you want to reach a higher rank in MMA?
Well, it's like you were saying, man. It's not everybody's cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
there's like I'll say that pretty much everybody I meet will be like, oh, that's pretty cool, that's pretty crazy, but a lot of like not everybody understand. Everybody's like, well, there's quite a few people. They're like, why do you do this? Like what is it? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And man, I couldn't really pinpoint one thing. I've always been I've always felt like I've been on the crazy side my whole life from the time I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? I've always
What do
done
you
wild
mean by the
stuff.
crazy side?
I'm just really fast paced, really uh I like physical. I've always liked physical activities. Even if you take fighting out of it, I enjoyed the physical aspect of football. I enjoyed you know, I was that kid that liked roughhousing and wrestling with my friends growing up and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I will say, you know, not that I'm proud of it, but, you know, from the time I was 16, 17 till probably 20, just gotten a lot of street fights or physical altercations or stuff like that. None that I really ever started, but, you know, just like
Okay.
I had a really low tolerance of like, it wasn't hard for me. You know, I didn't mind fighting. And
I
so if someone
understand.
was disrespectful or something to me, I would instantly kind of turn to that. Like I said,
Yes.
not something I'm proud of, but um, it was even back then. I would have a bunch of friends that would be like, "Man, you should look into this MMA stuff. You should do this. You're pretty good at it." And just once, I don't know, man. Once I actually started training consistently and doing it every day, it's just like, especially when I like, because when you're training, you're fighting, you're hitting each other, but it's not in a malicious way. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all aren't mad at
Yes.
each other. You're not. It's not like a street fight where you're trying to
Yes.
take the other dude out. It's like, okay, we're training to get better. We're training to learn. We're training to help each other grow. Uh, so that's I enjoy that's part of it. Like, um, just like with any other sport, even though MMA is it's a singular person in there, you're in there by yourself fighting. There's still community that comes along with it. Like I'm really close with all my jujitsu friends and all my friends I've met from boxing and all my friends I train Muay Thai with. So it's I've always enjoyed fighting, and for whatever weird reason, I've always enjoyed it. You know, and like I said, I realize I'm kind of an oddball in that, like, because most people don't enjoy that type of stuff.
Yes.
But also I enjoy the community I get from it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
just like with anything, you know, whether you're in a playing League of Legends and you got your same group you hook up with
Yes.
every night
I
and play, it's,
understand.
you know, it's a different, same community concept, just different activity. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
with MMA, there's a lot of camaraderie and like I said, community and friendship. And I've made some really good friends in just my 3 years of training that, you know, I can consider really close with. And just everybody's really supportive. And like I said, it's different when like going into an actual fight, I'm like, all right, I'm going in there to take this dude out. But when you're training, it's not like that. You know, it's you're training, you're having fun, you're helping each other grow. And I will say, even if you don't like MMA, boxing, or whatever, from like a watching it standpoint, or from like you don't want to do it because you don't want to get hurt or whatever, I will say that I think everybody should do some sort of martial art, not even from a competitive standpoint, but you know, if I think it would help everybody a little bit to get in there and punch a punching bag sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about getting injured from that. But I
Yes.
think that doing a martial art and doing that stuff in general is a huge confidence boost, because it puts you in a situation like, okay, like I might not ever want to do this professionally, but if I ever end up, because life is random, you know what I'm saying? You could be minding your own business and some random person try to harm you for no reason. So it does give you a
Especially if
little bit.
they're intoxicated.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So it does give you a peace of mind, like, okay, I don't ever want to hurt anybody, but if someone tries to attack me or something, I at least have the basis to defend myself and get away, or you know, avoid the situation or hope de-escalate it. So I think even if people don't want to do it from a competitive standpoint, or they don't want to injure each other or whatever, I think it's good to do at least one martial art from just a confidence boost, and just learning something new. You know, if you don't look at it as like beating each other up, and you look at it as learning a new art, learning a new sport. You know, like, because like I said, you can do boxing and you don't ever have to spar. You can hit pads, you can hit the boxing bags, you can learn the basics, the techniques, and you don't ever actually have to fight from that. But you learn the basis, and it gives you a confidence. Like, okay, at least I'll be able to do this if something ever out of my control happens, I guess you'd say.
I would be lying if I said I haven't given boxing a thought only to train, like
Exactly. Yeah.
boxing, workout, as a
Yeah. Just as a
workout,
workout.
or any martial arts. Now, we recently watched the movies Master Ip. Have you seen them?
What is it called?
Master Ip. Ip Man. Sorry.
Oh, IP Man. Are you talking about IP?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
seen. I know what you're talking about. That's
Okay.
he's supposed to be like Bruce Lee's trainer, I think,
He
or
was the
something
one who
like that.
trained Bruce Lee. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
And the fun part is when Bruce Lee came as a young kid, he's like, "Go grow up, kid, and get back."
Yep.
But he was very arrogant at a young age, Bruce Lee, from what I've understood. But at the same time, it's weird, but it kind of made me fall in love with the technique. It's a very, from what I could see, from my point of view, what I could see, it's a technique that requires a lot of work.
Mhm.
You can't master it in a day and night. You can't master
Exactly.
anything in a day and night. But once you do that, you don't really need to use it to fight. But if you use it for defense or whatever, it's pretty good.
Yep. And as a
But
form of meditation and stuff like that, like people don't realize like doing that stuff is a form of meditation. You're focused in on one thing, you're focused on your breathing, you're focused on your movements, and you block out everything else when you do it. A lot of people don't look at it like that, but once you do it, and it's also humbling. I mean, some like let's say you got your people like me who go in, I've been in street fights, I'm going to be good, and there's somebody in there that will humble you real quick. You know what I'm saying? There you realize there's people that have been doing it 5, 6, 7 years, and they'll put you in your place. But that's a good thing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like it keeps you level headed. It keeps you, and like that's one thing now. Like I told you, basically, I got in a bunch of street fights when I was younger. Man, you literally have to slap me in the face pretty much to get me to want to fight you or something. Now
to
you'd
get
have to
riled up,
or be trying to injure me or something like that. Like other than that, like someone just talking shit to me or someone just doing, I'm just saying whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even get
yep.
mad about it. So that's just another outlook on it for sure.
It's a beautiful form, yeah, for me at least. Now, where you can train that kind of form, that is something everyone has to look up, because from my understanding, there are different forms of uh, Chinese martial arts.
Mhm.
Uh, but what tips would you have for someone who wants to get into boxing, any martial arts, or because you were doing, what was it called, Brazilian
Do jujitsu. I
jiu-jitsu?
started off with boxing, and now I do the main four I train are Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai, and wrestling. Those
Okay.
are kind of the four big ones in MMA. However, there's people that have got karate backgrounds, kung fu backgrounds, stuff like that as well. But
So
go ahead.
so tell me, if I want to start, or anyone wants to start, what kind of tips do you have? Like, I'm not
Well,
talking extremely beginner level, not.
yeah, so extremely beginner level. I think you have to look at it from your own perspective of what you actually enjoy. So the way I kind of explain it is like, um, if you want to join a martial art, like for me, I was intrigued with boxing, you know what I'm saying, right off the
Mhm.
bat. Some people might be intrigued by jujitsu or whatever. I say whatever you're initially intrigued by is kind of where you should start. And then when you find a gym, finding a good gym is very important. You don't want to just because there's a gym, you could go to a gym that has a professor that is money hungry. He doesn't really, he's more, he worries more about getting your monthly payment as opposed to helping you grow as a martial artist and a person. Or you might go to a gym that's really serious and like
Mhm.
they're gonna, they're going hardcore on you all the time.
Yeah.
So my advice would be find the one, or kind of do some research on the one that intrigues you the most. And then when you do go find a gym, try out multiple gyms, find the one that's going to be most suitable to your needs. If you're trying to do it for fitness and fun, find a gym that's more fitness and fun. If you're trying to compete, be a competitor, find a gym that's for competitors and that's going to be more serious. Or sometimes there's for example, the gyms, both the gyms I train at, Brazilian Top Team and Black Sheep, which I train both. At Black Sheep I train my striking, my boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, and at Brazilian Top Team I do my jiu-jitsu, and I also do MMA and stuff there. But both of these gyms are really good gyms because they have all a wide variety of levels. You have people that are literally just coming there to learn, train, have fun. And then you have people like me that are trying to be competitive fighters at both of those gyms. And both of the coaches at these gyms are really, really good coaches. They can, you know, they can tell, okay, this person's coming in to have fun. You know, Matt, go with him, be careful, don't do, you know, don't do anything crazy.
Yeah.
Versus you have a guy who's coming in, he's trying to be serious and be an MMA competitor. There's, you know, there's a outlet for them there as well. And but I will say the one advice is, from what I've gathered from doing striking versus jujitsu. So with jujitsu, you don't take a lot of head damage per se. Like, you're not getting hit in the head. You don't have to worry about getting knocked out cold or anything. But your body is going to be a lot more beat up in jiu-jitsu because it's really grappling heavy. You're doing wrestling.
Yeah.
People are trying to choke you out, arm bar you, and like I said, you get arm bar, tap, it's done. But you know, still, you do that 4 or 5 days a week, your body's going to just be beat up. You know what I'm saying? There's
Yes.
no way around it. As opposed to when I've done like boxing and Muay Thai, you're getting hit in the head a little bit more. And like after that, like you take more head damage, but your body doesn't feel near as, you know, of course you're going to feel a little soreness here and there, but as opposed to jiu-jitsu, your body's not going to be as beat up, but you're going to take more hits to the head and stuff like that. So that's just
Okay.
kind of something you can weigh when you're thinking about them both. And only with boxing if you're doing sparring and stuff. So let me rephrase that. If you're like sparring and stuff, you're taking more damage to the head. But with boxing, you and Muay Thai, you can do it where you're just learning techniques, you're just doing bag work, you're just learning the form and stuff like that. But I will say with jiu-jitsu, it's pretty hardcore on the body.
Have you ever felt like you want to give up during,
Give up just like
like,
from like a competitive standpoint?
either competitive, or has it ever felt like when you're working out, have you ever felt like a feeling like, why am I doing this? Isn't it just better if I just quit?
I have, me personally, from training, I've never felt that way. Because even if it's a really hard cardio day or whatever, and I push myself to the max, I feel good about it afterwards. Of course, in the moment, you're like, man, this sucks. But I've never had the thought of quitting from that perspective. The few times I've had doubts, like let's say I did a jujitsu competition. I remember uh, my first jiu-jitsu competition I did after only training 3 months, and my second one I did after training 5 months. And the one at 3 months, I got arm barred with about 40 seconds left in the match, and I had to tap. And then the second one was about 5 months in, and I got arm barred quick in that one, really quick. That one was that second one I lost was a huge hit to my pride. I remember that night, I was like, what? I was like, I can't even win, or I got, you know, I was like, I couldn't even do this, like, and I want to be an MMA fighter. But that the next day I woke up and I was good, you know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, there has been times like I'll get my ass beat during a sparring day or whatever, and I'll be thinking that night, like, man, am I really cut out for this? But that's about as far as it's gone with me. Usually the next day I wake up and I'm good to go. And like I said, with any martial art, it's going to be humbling in an experience, in a sense of like, there's always a bigger fish. You know what I'm saying? You can be
Yes.
there's especially, and you feel it a lot in jujitsu because, uh, you know, you could go with, let's say you go with 4 or 5 people around your level or a little bit lower and you crush them all. You'll go against a dude that's been training a couple more years, and he'll just make you feel like a fool. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, oh,
Yes.
I just beat all these dudes pretty easily, and then I go against this dude, and he literally just toys with me like a child. So it's like there's always somebody to humble you in martial arts, which I think is a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
that's one issue. You have people that get super big headed, and they get super cocky about it, and then boom, there's always someone right there to kind of be like, hey man, you're not as tough as you think, or you're not as great as you think you are. Not in a
Yeah.
bad way, but just in a sense of, hey, you get what I'm saying. Like basically
Yes.
put you, kind of level you back down, and
Yes.
get you off your high horse a little bit. So but that's one of the good parts about it. But also, like I said, it's also a big confidence builder. It's like sometimes when you have these really grueling days, these really hard days, you're like, man, I did a good, like I'm happy I pushed through that, and like I showed myself I could push through like some real adversity. And you know and like I said, even when you're out and about, you're like, if someone does something, I'm not going to fight if I don't have to, but at least it's nice to know that like I can defend myself a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
it's a confidence booster just when you're out in everyday life as well.
But yeah, isn't that exactly what kind of life is about? The more
Yep.
you put in, the more you can harvest. Like it's technically the more you reap, the better you sow, or the more that you sow. And you can even sow more than uh you can reap more than you sow.
Yep.
So um if you look at Michael Jordan, I did you watch The Last Dance?
Yes, I did. Great
So I watched
documentary.
that. He is crazy when it comes to working out. But
Yep.
again, he wanted to be the world's best basketball player. So, and in order for you to reach that level, you need to be strong mentally, but also actually mean it that you want to
Yep.
reach that level, because there is a lot of work to reach that high of a level. You
It
cannot
really
sit at
is.
home and hope that you will be one of the best. You need to
Yeah.
go out, you need to work, you need to put in the work, the time. Discipline is a very important thing, like you said, and you got it from college. And many people get it from different ways. Right now, I'm trying to discipline myself as sleeping at 10 o'clock, waking up at 6, and start, doing my to-do list that I have to do. Every day I have to do a couple of things. And I'm reading a book called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've heard about it.
I've heard about it. I haven't read it, but I do want to read that. I've heard it's a
Yeah,
really good book.
it's from, I think James Clear is the one who writes it, but I am soon finished with it, and I read a chapter a day. I don't want to do more than that. I started by actually reading like a page or two per day when I started the book. But I was thinking to myself, if I'm already here and reading the book, why don't I read a chapter? That way, it's much easier to keep track on where you are, because okay, I'm gonna read, I'm gonna stop here, and tomorrow I'm gonna pick up where I left off, and it's much easier to pick off at an end of a chapter than in the middle of a page somewhere.
Yep.
So that's basically what they talk about. He says if you want to start a new habit, you only give it 2 minutes per day. You're not allowed to do more than 2 minutes. And there was one guy who actually went to the gym, went for 2 minutes only, and then went home.
I've actually heard that story from somewhere else.
Yes,
I don't know. I've heard the gym story before where the dude just went for 2 or 3 minutes and
yes,
left.
he went for 2 minutes and then he went back home. But after doing 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, it's basically you just want to get the habit of actually going to the gym. So you go there for 2 minutes. 2 minutes is very easy for everyone to do. So, and after a while, he started thinking to himself, well, if I'm already at the gym, why don't I put in a little bit more than 2 minutes? And that's how his habit started building. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to write stuff down, my own thoughts. And that's something Jordan Peterson talks about. He said it's very good to write and get your thoughts written down. So I'm trying all these small things, and something that I have basically put into my brain is that don't focus on what you're doing every day. Those small things are the things that are going to build up eventually for me. And if you think about it, this might be a very like, not a lot of people may understand this, but if you do a little bit every day, that will take you a long way. Going back to the RuneScape reference, but because that's what I can relate to.
Just
My
mining,
friend,
just mining away, mining
oh yeah,
away.
yeah. But this time is actually farming. Because I told my friend told me, what's your farming level? And I told him my farming level is 78. So he told me, shit, dude, why don't you farm, some fruit trees, palm trees, and magic trees, and you just do one farm run a day. It's 6 trees of each, so 12 trees per day. Why don't you do that, and you will get your levels running? And I'm like, I don't know, man. He said it's just one run per day. You don't need to do more than that. Just AFK. You're talking about 150,000 XP per day, around that. I was like, you know what? I'll do it. So I started doing 13 trees per day. All right. I wake up, I pray, I read some Quran, and then I do my farm run. That's how I start my morning. I've been starting my morning like that for like 2 or 3 weeks. I'm 90 farming right now by only doing one farm run a day. Eventually, what's going to happen is I'm going to reach 99, which is the max level. But when you do such small steps every day, you don't think about it. But in the grand scheme of things, you are going to reach 99 because you're putting in the work.
Yep.
You won't notice it.
Compounding, compounding up, compounding up.
And on RuneScape, you could actually see the levels going up. But in real life, you can always see the levels or the achievement that you have. But in time, you will. And I had a problem with that. And I actually had to call my old manager to ask him. And I told him, you have a lot of discipline, because he's a professional dancer. And I told him, help me out. How do I become the best possible version of myself? And he kind of stopped me and he said, what is the best possible version of yourself? And it's such a simple question, but I sat there thinking to myself, I was like, what the hell? I haven't even thought about this question before.
Yeah.
Because you need to think about it. Okay, you want to be best possible version, but what is that? That's a very grand thing.
Yep.
What is it? What type of person do you want to be? What do you want to be known for? Or where do you want to see yourself? Do you want to be a good person? Do you want to be an MMA fighter? Do you want to be an esports player? Is that the best possible version of yourself? What exactly is it that you want? And start working at it slowly. And I just explained to him. I told him I'm making my bed every day when I wake up. And, I've been reading a chapter of a book. And he said, you know what? You're already on the perfect path. And he said, keep doing this for a year and call me after a year. And I was like, okay, I will.
Sounds like some GaryVee type advice already.
Yes.
Right there.
Well, he loves GaryVee. He actually loves GaryVee. He didn't go to Veecon actually, but he loves GaryVee. But yes, it's like GaryVee says, you can repeat something over and over and over again, but it doesn't click instantly. Like he said that I was watching one of his videos and he said, I've been telling my father the same shit for 37 years. And his father at Veecon said, this time it clicked. So it took him 37 years for it to click. So you never know exactly what is going to click with people. But that people don't understand how small things you really need to do to achieve big things. It's like in marriage. The small things are the ones that matter the most. Because if you do grand things like get them a car, get your partner a car, or you get them a house, or all these grand gifts, or whatever you do, they will remember them for maybe 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. But after a while, they forget them. But the small things that are constant, those will be remembered forever. So
Yeah, I agree.
So to end this off, what would you leave the people with, like the viewers or the audience that we have? If you would leave them with one thing, what would that be?
Kind of just going off of the points you already made, but just within general, if you have a goal you want to do, if you have something you've wanted to start, something you want to progress to, start by just showing up every day and chipping away at it, and just see where your progress ends in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years. 1 year of staying consistent at something every day can completely change your life, basically. And that's back with my MMA stuff or whatever, it's just slowly chipping away at stuff day by day by day by day. And the little things, even if I don't want to show up, even if I don't have a good day, even if I only get a little bit of work in that day, it's gonna compound up over the long term, and that goes with anything from learning to invest, to learning a new skill, to working out, to building your body up. It's all about chipping away day by day. And you might not see the results at first, but give it time, and eventually next thing you know, you'll be where you wanted to be. It's just a slow progress.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Man, I appreciate you for hitting me back up and bringing me on. I remember we talked about this in the line at
Yeah,
Veecon.
I've been very slow on getting things together, but it's probably because of uh I've been very slow. It's more like I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's kind of that feeling that, yes, you get the hype at Veecon, but then you come home and you kind of get like overwhelmed.
Yep.
I got so many things. What do I want to do? It's like,
Yep.
have you seen this meme? That moment when you have so much shit to do that you decide to take a nap instead.
Yep.
Yes, that.
I know. I relate with you, man. I relate with you. When I got back from Veecon, even still to this day, I feel like I have so many different things to do. It's just
Yes,
like, oh my God. It's just like I need to just narrow it down, pick my stuff
yes,
and go, which is easier said than done sometimes. But yeah, I understand.
absolutely.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. Sometimes it's just like so much stuff, it almost overwhelms you to the point you don't
Yes,
get anything done.
yes. I mean, like we were there for 3, 4 days, but they were packed with a lot of things. And for people who are already on a path, it's much easier. So if you're a musician, or if you already have a podcast, or if you're a streamer, or whatever you're doing, if you already know what you want to do, it's a lot easier. Veecon could have been a thing that kind of like narrowed the path for you and told you where you need to go. It might have connected you with people that would help you. But for me, and I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what I want to do, but that's okay. That's what, and something that I always put in my mind is like Gary's always says, you're young. And I'm like, yes, 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 I am. So I'm trying to figure it out, but I decided like on this path that I'm doing right now of trying to get myself into discipline mode, disciplining myself, doing small things and learning new habits that are going to help me along the way. I've been working out every day, which is amazing because I go to the gym for 3 days and then I quit because I want to go all out and do like an hour and a half. And then like after 3 days, I'm like, you know what, forget this. These days, I do at least 2 minutes per day, curls or whatever. The days that I'm really tired, I just do curls for 2 minutes and I have my workout. So I've become very good. Even if I don't sleep at 10 p.m., I wake up at 6:30, between 6 and 7. So I'm planning to become a lot better at these things. But while I'm doing this, and so I asked myself, why don't you put the podcasts and hit the people up that you said that you wanted to interview? There's nothing wrong with that. So I reached out to you and reached out to another guy. And I'm going to start to reach out to my contact list that I have on the Veecon app. And I'm going to try to put as many interviews that I can and conversations like this that we can. And one of the reasons I want to do this is because we're normal people. We're not known people. We're not famous for anything. But at the same time, a lot of people can relate to us because
Yep.
they are people too. So anything that can help us can probably help them. And you don't need to feel, I don't want people to feel that you need to be someone to matter. You don't, because you all matter. You're on earth for a reason. And a lot of people can get anything you say that's, that can help someone. You don't know what clicks, which is pretty amazing. So
I agree with that.
yeah, so I'm like, and some people you connect with easily, some people you don't. And that's just like with you, I connected super easily. We had a good time. We were standing, there was no, we were standing in line for 2 hours at least. We didn't have an awkward thing for 2 hours. You went away for a minute, I went away for a minute. It's just, sometimes you just connect with people. And
Yep.
and that's how it is. For some people, like I told you, I approached them and they looked at me like, who the hell are you? And
Yep.
I was like, okay, you guys are the first people at Veecon that has welcomed me like this. But other people, you could have literally just taken. I remember this. Because we got food. We got food at Veecon. Did you ever go to that?
You said food?
Yes.
Like you're talking about like in the mornings when we first got
No,
there?
at
Or
the end. What at the end of the day, the happy hour.
I don't the only times I went out were like I didn't go out with like at my hotel that we were staying at
No,
the
no, no. It
Hilton.
was in the stadium itself.
Oh no, I didn't do that. I didn't even know
Okay, so
about
which is weird.
that.
I didn't do that either. Because I don't drink alcohol. But they're like, oh, they got like Jack Daniels or whatever happy hour. And I was like, okay, let me go up and check what it is. I know I don't drink. So I went there. Lo and behold, my man, they got the buffet of the lifetime. They got hamburgers, they got sliders, anything that you want to think. They got a charcuterie board, they got everything, my man. They got chips, dip, whatever have you. So I just filled up my plate and I went out. They had the door. What do you call this when you stand, outside on a roof?
The
Yeah,
balcony?
yeah, it kind of like a balcony. It was a big ass balcony, but but I was just standing there eating around the fire because it was a little bit cold. We were at high ground. It was a little bit cold, and I was just standing there eating. People started connecting with me, asking questions. Hey, how are you doing? Where are you from? And all that. I was like, hey, this is amazing. So it was very easy to connect with people. You're
Yeah,
gonna
I
have those
agree.
conversations once in a while where people look at you and be like, who the hell are you?
Yeah. No, I met a ton of people there. It was crazy. It was a good experience. I'm gonna definitely try to go again next year as well.
Oh yeah, I'm really gonna try to do that. I'm gonna try to look into book games because book games seem like a very book games are played forever. And here's the thing, book games prices right now are insanely low.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes,
They're like
because
point one or something like that.
yes, and that's because people are focusing on Veefriends Series 1 and Series 2. So now would be a good time to scoop things up. So I think if I am blessed enough to be able to get a VFriend Series 1, I will, and I'll keep that. But if not, then I'll just have to do book games or whatever techniques he brings, So, but
Yeah, he hasn't
we,
announced anything on book games in a while, so I feel like out of nowhere
no, but
there's gonna
that's
be
good because
something.
got
Yep.
a lot of book games got a lot of attention at the beginning when it was released. It can't keep having all this attention because he got Veefriends that got a lot of attention. You got the cards, you got the Uno, you got a lot of things that are getting different attention. So you can't really just have a book game's attention. But he said, remember, it's played forever. That's all you need to have in mind.
Yeah, exactly. He even said that
So,
again the other day. He said book games
mhm,
is forever. Don't be stressing about it.
yep. And if it goes on like he said that you keep burning stuff, then yes, even the cheapest one is going to be expensive eventually. But we're talking about years. We're not
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about a
yeah.
day. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
this
it's
it's
more
long
yes.
term
So
play for
it's
sure.
investing or it's trading. You either trade them or you hold them. So it's up to you. But there are different paths we can take, and that's the amazing thing. It doesn't matter which path you take. Once you're there, you're there.
Yep, I
So
agree.
yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
All right. Hold on, give me a second.